Yeah, let's get into that. Were you also doing the other magazines at the time that you started the source? Did that continue, or did you just focus solely on the source?
Source was only paying me $50, so that was for the love. So yeah, I was still doing Emerge, Playgirl, Discover magazine. I was by no means successful, but I was building on my success because, like I said, I got out of school in '87. Didn't really get any continuous regular work till like '88 once players reached out to me. And then once I started getting tier sheets, it gave me stuff to add and go to more magazines, and I built on that. So by the time I was at the source, I knew the pay rates on how the magazines worked. I knew like a spot drawing where you just draw like one little figure in one space would be like 250. Half a page, $500. You do a whole page drawing, $1,000. You do a 2-page spread, 2,000. So I knew what it was. So with them, only being able to pay me $50, it was only purely done for the love. I did not have to go up in there. But like I said, it was the music and now being able to draw people that I loved and appreciated. So just fell
Right.
in line.
I was going to go ahead and pre-put some of the pictures in, but I thought it'd be fun to run into the stash and grab a few magazines and show them on the screen. So I want you to take us back to, where Andre was in his life, what was going on, and the reactions you got when the source hit the newsstands.
Okay, the thing about it is, I gotta say, I got some like Rain Man shit going on because I can look at a drawing and just remember everything that
That's
was going.
dope.
That'll work.
Okay.
That's the first issue that I appeared in. Did the artwork in August of 1990. It came out in September. Uh, and as you see, that was Easy E with the FBI listening to on his phone. Um, the critic in me is like, yo, that friggin' door is way too fucking big. But my perspective was kind of off back then. But yeah, that would be September 1990. Yeah.
Very dope. Any responses from NWA at the time, Easy?
At back then, no. The expecting responses from people would slowly start to come, but from that first one, no. Yeah.
What was the general public saying?
Um, General public actually no idea because the source still wasn't the source yet. It was making noise, but I don't think I really started hearing kind of feedback or any kind of noise till like maybe 6 issues into it, maybe for me. And that might have been like a De La Soul drawing. I started to hear response. Yeah. That might be either the second or the third drawing when I think about it. MC Light. Back then, it still had not become what it was now, which was whoever was on the cover, I was going to then illustrate them in the back. That's what it became. Back then, it was either the secondary story or if they were doing a conglomerate story. Like that was talking about female MCs. So I just summarized who was prominent and are just taking over. Them grabbing the
That was
DJ.
LL.
So that what month is that on there? On the cover.
That is October 1990.
Okay, yeah. So that same general area. Because like I said, they were just new. They were still black and white. They couldn't afford to print anything in color. So I was doing all my artwork in black, white, and grays.
Like I said, I just kind of randomly grabbed some issues. Take us back.
That's one of the early ones where I actually got beef right there. That is the original idea. Was actually I'm working on the last word book finally. So, but the original idea was to have DJ Quick in a beauty salon with Reverend Al and James Brown, but the deadline was tight, so one of them had to go. And as a New Yorker, I really wanted to leave the then Fat Al in the drawing. But, you know, James Brown is universal. Everybody knew about the perm. So DJ Quick being with James Brown, it just made the most sense. So the issue comes out, and DJ Quick is on Yo MTV Raps with T Money and Dr. Dre. And they are interviewing him and making fun of him like they usually do or would. And I remember Dr. Dre took the issue, folded it to the back just like how you did, and was waving it in the screen.
That particular issue?
That particular issue, yeah. And just waving the drawing in the back. And he's like, a funny drawing from the source. And you can see DJ's Quick, his face change, right? I would say about 2 weeks before that, I had come into the source. And I think Reggie Dennis, who was then music editor, said that he got a message from DJ Quick. It might be folklore, but this is what I had always heard. So at some point we're getting a response about that I should never pay a visit to California. So so then 2 weeks later, with him being on Yo MTV Raps, and then waving the issue and making fun of him, he was there with his boys, and his boy says, "Yo, that just means you large." So that started to change how people started to view when I would draw them. It started to be like a badge of honor that I would make fun of them. But them early days, I definitely had some people looking for me, and I was hard-headed and 25 from Brooklyn, and I'd be like, give them my number. So I was always ready to tackle things as opposed to be surprised. You know what I mean?
Did you ever have to have did you actually have words with him?
I've never met DJ Quick, spoke to him, so that's why I would say I would love to know if that shit was true, because there's some things that weren't, and then there's some things that were. Like I know X-Clan was mad and looking for me because I got to know them through the years, but back then, Professor X was not happy with me. And I used to see, you know, I lived in Flatbush, so I would see X-Clan rolling through the streets on the regular. And like I said, it's better, in my point of view, of attacking the problem. So if I know you got beef with me, and you know who I am, and I don't know that you know who I am, I like to put it straight up front. So as opposed to getting jumped and wondering what happened. So I went up to the source, had another message that Professor X wanted to speak to me. So I was like, cool, give him my number. And gave him my number, got home, he called me up, kind of like paused, you know, in his sing-songy voice. He's like, I got the feeling somebody up there doesn't like me. What are you trying to say? Because I did a drawing with the beads going over his mouth up to his nose. And he's like, what are you trying to do? You trying to tell me I talk too much? You trying to tell me to shut up? And I was like, nah, I'm just trying to say you wear too much beads. So he was like, he was quiet on the other end. Then he started laughing, and we were cool from the point to where he finally passed, right? So as I'm working on this last word book that I'm telling you about, I sat down and talked to Paradise and Brother Jay, who I've become cool with in the last couple of years. And they gave me the clear, uncut version that he was really angry and was going to be looking for me. And the fact that I reached back out and gave him my number, you know, kind of quelled whatever could have gone left. But he was definitely not as pleased as when we spoke and smoothed things out. So, yeah.
Dope history lesson right there.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Ironically. Yeah, this was Brother Jay had disbanded from X-Clan, or X-Clan had disbanded in full, and Brother Jay was a part of the Dark Sunrisers. Dark Sun Riders? Yeah, I think Dark Sun Riders. Yep. So this is around the time where John Schechter had left. And I always say the source was playing it a little bit safe. I came up, you know, with the whole joke, because this was around the time where Ice Cube was just mad at the East Coast. And my thing was always like, yo, when you left NWA, where'd you come to get your first 2-3 hits solid album? You came to the East, and now you beefing. So my original joke had no West Side in it, but when I brought it in, they was like, we got to make this a little bit in the middle, a little bit softer. So then I added West Side in it, but in the word bubble, because I still wanted it to be the whole point of when you can watch some hip hop, got to come to the East, my brother. To the East, my brother. To the East.
Absolutely. Another random issue. Let's see what we got here.
You got stuff in good condition. See,
Oh,
you are.
absolutely.
That actually is one of my favorites. That a lot of probably like 2-3 years ago, I get requests every now and then on Instagram to post certain ones, and that was one that they requested. This would be along the times when I actually started to write, and I was writing under A.L. Dre, and I was doing like some of the mic checks. Like the first Master P mic check in the source was written by me. And I had done an interview with the Lost Boys for a mic check, probably a little bit earlier. And it didn't go too well because they had came from a concert and they was mad and they weren't in the mood to talk, which makes it very difficult to do an interview when somebody doesn't want to talk.
Right.
But then I also had to create the artwork for that. So I just, used the straight up pun, Lost Boys. Back then it was real supreme with the cartons of milk for lost kids to have their picture side of the carton. So I did my research because I'm a Brooklyn boy. Spoke to a couple of Queens friends, found out different parts of Queens. So I could, always try to make my shit authentic so can't nobody check me. So got actual places in Queens, drew each Lost Boy on the side, do a different place where they were located, and drew them on the side of milk cartons. And that one is considered a classic by a lot of folks.
Absolutely. Got a few more.
Cool. The Wu-Tang were just like easy, meaning they just supplied so much material, names of themselves, in jokes that they had on the albums, in between cuts. I knew Method Man was a comic book head from bumping into him at a comic book store called Forbidden Planet, early '90s. So I just had the opportunity, to kind of use all his different personas or as much as I could. And I tried to figure out a way to do that. And I thought of a paper cutout doll that I remember like my sister and some younger kids having back in the day. So it was my opportunity to draw him as Johnny Blaze, my opportunity to draw him as Takayan Stallion, throwing accessories like the Iron Lung, and the Pantry Raider. So, anytime where I could have fun and make fun, but still show my brothers in a positive light without being disrespectful, I was down for it. Because disrespecting somebody drawing wise is easy, but when you come up with something creative and smart, and there's always other jokes within jokes, that's always my thing. I want to make you think in the midst of laughing.
Right. As we progress through the years, what is the pay like? Is it going up? What's going on with the pay?
By the time they started to become successful, I needed to be paid. Actually, and like I said, the first place I started writing was at the source, and I was making money writing under a different name because it's like what goes on now. People want you to submit to what they want. They want you to choose one thing. And if God gives me lots of different talents and skills, then you as a man ain't gonna tell me what I should and shouldn't do. So I started writing for the source. I started writing for Rap Pages, for XXL, for Vibe, for whoever would reach out and whatever. So that pay was happening writing wise. But then other magazines like Rap Pages, drawing for them as well. So I did some drawings for Rap Pages, and the editor-in-chief, Mr. Alan Gordon, he played it correctly. He took the drawings that I did and put them on the last page in Rap Pages, which got the people at the source mad and irritated. But I was like, yo, I'm not under contract. So when they put me under exclusive contract that I couldn't draw for any other hip hop magazines, they had to pay me accordingly. So the pay increased handsomely, where at certain times I would get $3,000 per drawing. You know, so for that time period, it was pretty good. But then I was also now doing album covers and artwork for record companies, so I could do without doing artwork for other magazines, but I was still write, you know, for other things. So yeah, I played it correctly.
What year was that where you was kind of bouncing between Rap Pages and the Source before the Source got you under contract?
That might have been don't hold me to it, but that might have been like 96.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah,
Okay.
like 90, yeah. So I did I see that's probably like 92, 93. That's Biz Markie, All Samples Cleared, when he caught hell from putting out the album without getting the samples cleared. That summer I kind of had like back to back drawings that I consider like some of my favorites from, you know, because I think that time period, the year on that is 92 or 93, if you can tell, or 94.
August 93.
Okay, yeah. So that kind of year I had like drawings of color drawings of Crisscross and I think BDP later on. So there were a lot of back-to-back drawings where I was loving what I did. The worst time to do a drawing for the last word when it was like when the artist was new, right? And there was no photo reference. And I'm all about quality photo reference. If I have quality photo reference, I can draw anybody. If I have half-ass photo reference, then the drawing's gonna be half-ass. So what I would do is I would hopefully get some publicity photos from the record company, but I would also hit the newsstands and pick up Word Ups, Rap Pages, pick up a spin if I had to. Whatever was going to give me the best reference so I could represent the artist properly, then that's what I was going to do.
Right. We're going to get into the last issue you did, but can you take us back to what you were seeing around the Source? I mean, was there any point that you just lost interest? Was things ever always good? What was going on at the Source throughout the years before the last issue?
I think you're back. All right, so I
Okay.
missed your question.
Okay, no problem. Can you take us back? We're going to get into the last issue you did, which was 2007, January. Can you take us back to what was going on around at the Source? Was things always good? Did you ever lose interest? What was going on at the Source that led to January 2007 being your last issue?
Well, for me, things was good because I was not up there on the regular. I was not up there daily. But when I would get up there, people would give me all the info and the tea. I had a cool relationship with Benzino. I was all right for the most part with Dave Mays. When I was up there, I got my checks. I got my money. When they left and got pushed out by Black Enterprise, the new people in charge came to me, asked me to stay. I was like, all right, cool. And it was cool maybe the first 6 months to a year. And then they started getting tight with the monies. And my money would be delayed. And it came to the point of, you want a new drawing? I got to get paid for the last one before I bring in a new drawing. So it kind of got that. And then it became, all right, you gave me a check. Let me run up to the bank and cash this shit real quick, make sure it's good. You know, so it evolved to that. And then, like, towards the end, they was like, we're going to need to cut back on the monies. Meaning, we want you to still do it, but we want to give you $1,000. And I was like, Now, you asked the question about whether I was enjoying it still. Yes. I'll go even backwards. When I was in high school, graduation year, we had black books. You know, like everybody has their graduation books that they would sign. We had, as an art school, we had black books. So what you would do, you would give a black book to your friend. They would draw something in it. You give it to them over the weekend. You give it to the week. So by the end of the time you graduated, you had a book of artwork from folks. Like the brother who did the artwork for like the Breakbeat Records, Kevin Harris. I've got original pieces that he drew in my black book, right? So by that time, people were reaching out to me to draw. And that's where I found my caricature voice. Because I wanted to do comic books, and though I could rock a comic book, I had friends who would just blow me away. So I just found my lane of creating jokes and doing stuff. So I had a friend, I always tell this joke. We had a friend who came to school, and he opened his book bag, and a roach came out, right? which is like jokes for the rest of your damn school life, right? So he gave me his black book, and what I did was there was a character, which actually will be in Black Widow, called Taskmaster, right? So what I did was I got a picture of the dude, I won't say his name, and I drew him as in the Taskmaster's clothes with the same shield. I changed the T to an R, and I drew him holding the can of Raid, and I drew him as Roachmaster. So I just made fun of my friends. So the same shit I was doing in high school, now I'm getting paid to make fun of rappers and joke on them and doing it. So I was doing the same thing. So yes, I was still enjoying it. I was having fun. Still was loving hip hop. But when they started with that, you know, not paying me on time and trying to cut the pay. And like I said, once again, this was not Benzino and Maze. They were paying me. They paid me. It's once my brothers came in, Black Enterprise, where all of a sudden I started to have a problem. And we could not come to a resolution. So I came in to do the next assignment, and they told me that we was going our separate ways. And I left there with them owing me $15,000. So yes, they owed me $15,000. I left. That's why during that time period, I was like Prince. I was put Source on my face. You could not say I was associated with the Source in any kind of way. I would be like the artist formerly known or attached to them. So there was a time period where I was so full of anger with that you could not attach me to the Source in any kind of way. And then they filed Chapter 8, and then they filed another Chapter 8. So they sent me a check, which I still have somewhere, for like I think it was like $8 or some shit. Because with all the Chapter 8s and stuff, that $15,000 went down to $8. So it wasn't until I joined Facebook, probably like in 2009, 2010, where I just started getting people reaching out to me, talking about their love of the drawings and all the other stuff, where I was like, all right, I can't keep this anger in for myself. It just defeats the purpose. Although I do tell people to make sure you say formally for the Source, because I ain't been there in a minute. So
Right.
you know, you still tie me to it because that is part of my legacy. But I enjoy it all the time there. I mean, I was there through probably like damn near 7, 8 editor-in-chiefs, 5, 6 art directors. Now I can say 2, 3 different owners, you know, so countless workers, you know, people who blew up, people who I'm still cool with. So it was a good positive experience for me. And because I am who I have always been from day one, I got no beefs with nobody. You know, they might have beefs with me, but I got no beefs with nobody. So
Right.
I'm good. I'm happy.
You said they wanted to cut you all the way down to 1,000. At what point was your highest? How much were you demanding at your peak?
Shit. If I knew what I found out afterwards, that so many people were like going to the last word first before, you know, checking out, I'd have demanded more. But at the highest, it was I think it was 3,000.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,000 drawn.
Very dope. So let me go ahead and show that last issue and take us back.
I hated that drawing.
Was this
Snoop and P. Diddy? Yes. That was drawn. See, because I am a person who honors my word, even though they did foul shit, I had to go home and do the drawing and commit it. And then it was after I bought it in that I realized these motherfuckers wasn't paying me. But I bought it in. Yep. Um, that's actually, you can look at that and see that the pen work is angry. Just the P Diddy's face is angry. It's tight. Snoop is tight. There's no real happiness to my normal drawing. That looked just straight up angry. So it was drawn in anger, and that was my last issue where I drew work. But I actually think I also wrote like 2 or 3 articles in that issue, if I'm correct. So find A.L. Dre up in there. I wrote a couple things in that issue too. But yeah, that was my goodbye issue to the last word with the source. But then maybe like a year later, Dave Mays reached out to me, and he was starting a magazine called Monster. And he asked me if I would do a last word for that. Kind of like, I guess, his fuck you to the source too. And I was in that mode too. So I drew a drawing of Game for the last word in that. And then I know they kind of either didn't check on what was going on, but there was another magazine called Monster with a copyright. So that kind of like ended there. Not too many people even know about that, the issue with the Monster. So
Right.
yeah, so my final last word drawing for the source